From Ben Johnson's season, as we kick off this Bears mailbag, I'm Harrison Graham. He says, if the Bears let Keenan Allen walk, would you have any interest in trading for Tyreek Hill? So, if you haven't been paying attention to the news, Tyreek Hill basically after the Dolphins season ended was like, yeah, I'm out. I'm too much of a competitor to just be out here and be a non-playoff team. Um, look, I love Tyreek Hill as a player. I think he is one of the 10 maybe best players I've ever watched, period. He's the most electric player with the ball in his hands I've ever seen play football. He's 30 now. I don't think he's like a locker room cancer necessarily, but he'll ruffle some feathers. Like the Chiefs are willing to trade him. I would pass. And the main reason I would pass is you need trenches. Like it's time to invest in the trenches. So, awesome player, one of the most electrifying players. I would love to add a burner like him to this offense, but he's going to cost a lot of money. I don't know what a trade would actually cost, maybe a second-round pick, but I would not go in that direction. What say you, though? Would you trade a day 2 pick, second, third-round pick for Tyreek Hill? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Love the player, but he's getting a little older. You got more pressing needs, in my opinion. I would not go in that direction. DC Viper, if Ben and Vrabel are both gone to the Jags and Pats, who's your best one left? Is Joe Brady or Liam Cohen at high target still? For me, they are. For the Bears, I don't know. Now, we're filming this mailbag earlier in the week, so depending on when you're watching this, information can change, but neither of them were on their original interview request list as of midday on Monday. I like both. Both are relatively inexperienced, but have a decent amount of experience, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's tough. If you're hell-bent on offense, I would say one of those guys would be right up there, along with a Cliff Kingsbury and with the wild card being Mike McCarthy. So I hope your scenario doesn't play out, but yeah, that number 3 candidate right now is kind of the wild card. If you don't get Vrabel or Ben, where do you pivot to? PBMGTV, what's y'all's preference with the 10th pick? So early. We'll have some draft content, mock drafts, all that stuff. But depending on what the best trenches players are at 10, I would like to get the best trenches player available. I'm also open to trading down to get an extra day 2 pick, perhaps. Maybe trade down to the mid-late teens, get an extra day 2 selection, and kind of just load up between picks, 15 and 70. So, yeah, that would be kind of my approach. We'll see if one of Kelvin Banks and Will Campbell are available at 10. I think there's a good chance one of them are. Probably not getting Mason Graham or Abdul Carter. I think they both go top 5, top 6. But that's kind of where it stands now. I would not take Ashton Genty with my first pick, to be clear. Are you a Bears fan? Are you looking for day-to-day off-season coverage? Do you want to be a part of live shows and interactive mailbags like this one? Well, that describes you. Hit that subscribe button. We are here every single day breaking down the latest Bears news, rumors, coaching search updates, and a whole lot more. So lock us in. Coco Monkey, what do you think about the Bears schedule for 2025? By the way, we have the second hardest schedule in the NFL. Yeah, look, last year, based on opponent win percentage, the Bears had the third easiest schedule. Ended up being the second or third hardest. Can't remember, second or third. I'm kind of retiring from the you're completely screwed or you have a easy schedule. Nothing about the NFL is easy. Now, on paper, there's some tough opponents. There's no doubt. But the NFL, unlike other sports, isn't always an on-paper sport. The 49ers went 6-11 this year. No one saw that coming. The Commanders went 12-5 this year. No one saw that coming. Like, half the league is drastically different in win-loss, at least, from year to year. So, I'm not going to sit here and act like it doesn't matter at all. It's going to be easy, but I think last year we kind of played that up like, oh, this is the easy schedule. You can really stack some wins, and they lost 10 games in a row at one point. So, and the strength of schedule was second toughest in the league. So, we'll see. We'll have plenty of time to talk about the schedule once the week-by-week schedule drops in May. All right, Savage, Gorillas, should Vance Joseph be the next head coach? Wouldn't be at the top of my list. I think he's doing a hell of a job running the Broncos defense. No questions about it, especially with a lot of no-name players, to be honest. I mean, good players, but the average sports fan wouldn't know who they are. But I think there's more qualified defensive guys I would take a look at. All right, we are sponsored by Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that can help you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, help you manage your budgets, and lower your overall spending. What Rocket Money does with your subscriptions, which most Americans think they're spending $62 per month on different subscriptions. That number is probably closer to $300. Don't believe me? Download the Rocket Money app at rocketmoney.com/bears now. They will list them all out, and you will see in front of your face on one screen how much you're spending per month on all of these subscriptions. And if you decide, hey, I want to cancel a certain subscription, a few clicks later, you're no longer going to be subscribed. Rocket Money will handle it for you and kind of serve as a middleman so you don't have to deal with back and forth customer service. Get started with Rocket Money today at rocketmoney.com/bears now. That is rocketmoney.com/bears now. Basic just banking, financial, day-to-day stuff that you want to stay on top of. I think it's better than any other banking app I've ever used, to be honest, staying on top of my credit score. A lot of benefits to Rocket Money. They have saved their customers $500 million in canceled subscriptions alone, so stop wasting money on things you don't use. Go to rocketmoney.com/bears now to download the app today. Josh, would you be willing to spend a third on Skattebo? Maybe. That's probably the highest pick I'd go for him. Is fun and as good as he is, like, he relies heavily on his ability to shed contact and break tackles. I think a lot of that will translate, but probably not to the level as it is in college. I think he's like a poor man's David Montgomery. Like, I think Montgomery's a little more explosive, has a little more high-end speed. Certainly not a burner, but compared to Skattebo. Now, if you get a slightly worse David Montgomery in the middle round, it's not a bad pick. I think the Bears probably regret letting him walk. But I think there are some big physical backs that are more explosive in this draft that I'm more interested in. But, yeah, I'd say third to fifth for Skattebo is probably the range I'd be looking at. Xavier Soup, haven't heard anything about him possibly being available, but would you trade a third for Bradley Chubb, especially if we end up with a defensive coordinator like Robert Saleh? I mean, I don't know why Saleh specifically is connected to Chubb. But Chubb has a lot of injuries the last few years. When he's healthy, he's a good player. I'd have to double-check his contract situation, but I think he's making a lot, so probably not, honestly. But you do need another high-end pass rusher, and you obviously need Montez Sweat to bounce back. Speaking of free agency, should the Bears re-sign Keenan Allen? Type S for sign or P for pass? I think it's let him hit the market, see what his market is, and if he comes back to you with a number and it's reasonable, sure. But otherwise, I would probably let him walk. He's going to be 33 next year. You need a Dunze and DJ Moore to be your top two guys. And quite frankly, I want Cole Kmet reincorporated into this offense. The utilization of Kmet this year was embarrassing by the team. Maybe there's too many cooks in the kitchen. I would let Keenan Allen walk. I'd try to get more of a speed guy with my number 3 that'll get less targets but gets more explosiveness. That is what I would be trying to do if I was the Bears for that number 3 receiver spot. Another question here. Blue Dragon Goonies. What a name. Do you just not trust Tyler Scott as wide receiver 3? And also, have you heard anything about Chris Morgan getting fired? Well, he's not going to be back unless the new head coach just loves him for some reason. But it's not even as much as me. It's clearly the Bears don't. Now, maybe a new coach will view Tyler Scott differently. I was optimistic on him coming into this year. I thought he'd be your clear-cut wide receiver 4. He basically wasn't even your 5 because DeAndre Carter was your 4. And then when he got hurt, Colin Johnson got more snaps. So this Bears coaching staff did not like Tyler Scott as a receiver. He became your kick returner late in the year due to injuries, but that's really all we saw from him. So I like his speed. I think he's an intriguing talent, but it's hard for me to trust that he can be your wide receiver 3 if we haven't even seen the kid play, basically. So I hope whoever the next coach is gives him at least a look because I do think he's talented, but I don't think you can enter training camp where he's like your clear-cut 3. Like, if he's competing for that role, cool, but I think you have to have a better plan there because he was basically your wide receiver 5 or 6 this year. All right, follow us on social media. We can answer more questions over there at HGramNFL, Twitter, and Instagram. Appreciate all of the questions. We'll have plenty of mailbags during the offseason where you guys can chime in, give us your thoughts, your trade ideas, whatever the case may be. So lock us in here on Chicago Bears Now.